But before we get on this, I don't know if we have any announcement from Wendy. Ben said that he wants to announce something. Because in this process, many people will leave during this session for catching up their flight. So if you have any announcement, please do that now.
I just wanted to say that let everybody know about a conference that's going to be in Boston next week. It'll be partially hosted here, partially downtown. It's called FOSS4G, Free and Open Source GIS Conference. It's the international version of it. I was privileged to be a reviewer of the papers, and there are a lot of papers that would be very interesting to folks here. A lot of stuff on big data, a lot of papers talking about new algorithms for spatio and temporal work, and just from my own past experience at FOSS4G, I find them to be very invigorating, exciting conferences. And so the workshops are going to be here Monday and Tuesday, and then down at the World Trade Center Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, the conference proper. So you might just, I don't know whether anybody is, has the flexibility to be here next week, but thought it would be good for you to know about. So FOSS4G 2017, Boston will get you all the information.
Wendy, do you have an announcement? Okay, before we get into the session, because many people are leaving, I want just kind of, as a normal conference, I want to thank a few people who really made this possible. Wendy, obviously, you saw that she has been in and out a lot and helped on different angles. Last night, she went to buy the wines that we enjoyed for the reception. So thank you, Wendy. Let's give her. And also the local host here. We have a few students who's working with us. Manju has left. She has been doing a lot, exchanging emails with each and every one of you. And also Chen Liu is still here, and she has been communicating with many of us. And we have our center, our EU students. I don't know, we have one from Dartmouth at Harvard, right? Is he still here? And we have the 3 REU from GMU, and they're here, and also Xiang. They have been helping a lot on the programming and review logistics. And Professor Mei Li from Beijing University, she also helped on the proceeding on the papers. So for that part, when we finally gets to be published by ISPRS allows, a lot of work of hers put into there. Well, we thank you all for coming to this symposium. This is probably quite different from your normal meetings you go to. You just go there, give the presentation, shake hands, and see you next year. Here you not only do that, but also putting a lot of your own effort, contributing. But at the end, we hope that you can take back some of this to you. So a big thank you to all of you who come here and be so engaged, like Robert, his group. There's 4 of you coming here, and also to others who helped chair the sessions, especially stand up to help with on the last minute. Because it's very dynamic schedule, as you saw that we're trying to manage the dynamics of visa issues, transportation, many different dynamics. As we're doing spatial temporal, it is a very spatial temporal oriented symposium. Okay, thank you all. But we still have work to do, so let's get back here. What we want to do here is to do things before we leave today. First, please write down your name, email, and affiliation. I put mine here as an example. So you can just write after this. And another part is that the major part we're going to spend most of the time of this session to synthesize this document. I just copied this into the last report out session, which is this one, to go over what we just did from the 2 breakouts, and all the information has been putting up here. We want to do some kind of initial integration here. And then if we finally still have some time, we want to do maybe 2 applications, because this came up from the discussions at the end too. How about let's just look at one use case or one either scientific or social applications, see how spatial temporal computing could be helpful over there, if there's something we cannot do in the past but we can do now. So we're not going to wait for the first part for you to write down your name, affiliation, and email address, so please do that if you have a computer. If you don't, please you can do it after you get home. Or you can use your neighbor's computer to help put in that. Now we're going to focus on the synthesis of the document. So what we did is that the context of this, obviously this will be a collaboration effort from all of us on this document. The reason for have this is we are organizing a special issue with the International Journal of Digital Earth, and many of the papers we're doing probably will be reviewed, submitted to there. It's not guaranteed for acceptance yet. We know that journal has its own review process, but we will handle those papers. And for that special issue, we're going to have one overview or review paper, and this will be the framework or start of that. So that's why we hope that everyone could contribute in and be part of this effort. So the title, which we can change later, but we can discuss it a little bit, see if this is a viable title we want to put up. The future of spatial temporal computing. So what do you think about, we talked about the future of spatial temporal computing, or an introduction to spatial temporal computing, or the research domain of spatial temporal computing, past, present, and future. So what do you think about the title? There's a lot of ideas floating up, and also we have a lot of these ideas from past publication experience a lot of us have. So what do you think about the title of this? Is it okay, or it's something we can leave it as follow? Yeah, yeah, probably it's not just the future. The future will be focusing on the research agenda part. So another idea is, yeah, we just past, present, and future. Oh no, it's not a history paper, but so we're talking about not just the future of it. Oh.
Replace future by emergence? Or just spatial temporal computing? Yeah. Let's just do that.
Or just make it simple, like this. Any other ideas that we may think that this is more acceptable to the community? That's a good idea. I'm not a Mac guy, so when I'm typing, there's a lot of typos over there. Thank you for correcting that. Okay, so we have a few ideas. Do we want to discuss more of this, make a decision now, or we leave it here and we come back to revisit? Okay. I saw a few of us saying no, we just leave it over there. Okay, so from here we have the structure of 30s. As the first part, there's a lot of information here, and then we get on to technologies, methodologies, and then it's the infrastructure. Then we have the applications. From here we think that all the science domains, engineering parts, and social history and others which need support from spatial temporal computing as the applications. So we have them all integrated here. And at last, we have a data here being added. That's good. So we have workforce training. This part includes a lot of different aspects: education, scholarship, outreach, collaboration for the training. And then the formulation and promotion of a research agenda. So that's the part we don't have anything here yet, but we will for sure have something after we discuss the other parts. And then the last part from the discussion we had within one of the groups, so people saying, okay, why don't we put up some kind of use case or applications that is so striking that we must have spatial temporal computing to make this work. So if we have time, we're going to discuss that part. Now we want to go over this document, make sure that we have the some clean up and synthesize each of these parts. So the first part is theories, and we have spatial time and spatial temporal listed here, and also relationship to other domains, fields, and mathematical description. And then what about machine learning's role in space-time? Return to theory. This talks about all those ones in the geospatial domain that we have been using, and other related. Information theory and dimensionality, and then mathematics. So this really gets back to mathematics. I think probably that's a good indication that we should or could have some kind of theories for spatial temporal computing. So first, what do we think about the idea of this putting spatial temporal time and then spatial temporal and then relationship with other domains? Would this be a reasonable structure within the theories part? That's good. Okay, so spatial part, most of us are from this domain, so we understand that there's a lot of theories existing on a 2-dimension, 2.5, 3D data structure, maybe data models. If we're talking about theories, we normally talk about data models. So let me see. And some theory on relations, yeah, that is a good one. And mathematical description about that part as exists. So do we have any other we want to mention as important spatial theories? No, we don't want to repeat, yeah.
Already cover.
But we want just kind of recap a little bit, introducing, maybe highlighting those big ones or obvious ones here, but not into details. The details part should be the spatial temporal part that we want to get to. Okay, so if you think of any, you can add here. And then space scale matters. Does time scale matters? Yes, when time is considered continuous, but modeled discrete and spaces. Yeah. So continuous versus discrete time. How can we treat time as a continuous dimension and do some transformation in time so we can apply mathematical methods? So this gets into the fundamental part, and snapshots and discrete events. This is the data could represent. We have to get snapshots or discrete instead of continuous or representation of the time dimension. There's a mention about having meters extension to the Hagstrand time geography here. Markov process here, much talking about time series Fourier analysis. Is there a finite set of spatial temporal process? Diffusion. So this part goes to the next one, or the stays here? Maybe the next one.
Yeah, that should go into spatial temporal.
Let's just put here. Let me see if I can do that. Oh. No. Oh. It disappeared. Could I? How could I do that? Control. It's a Mac machine.
Undo. Where you did the back on the top left next to the point symbol.
Oh, this one.
No, it's on. Yeah, good. That'll work. Keep going.
Okay, that's good. I'll cut from here. The middle one. Oh, do it on the keyboard. Yeah, okay. Okay. So now we're now getting to spatial temporal. What are the unique parts? This is a question we always have to ask. How this would change our mature methods, text theories, spatial temporal thinking, pattern projecting to computing strategies. How do we deal with different space-time scales? What are the implications for an AUP, modifiable area unit problem, of space-time, and trying these various units to real-world use cases? Yeah, that's good. Do spatial temporal objects exist? What are they, if so? What is the ontology of them? Are they continuous or not? Do they even exist? Yeah, when you get to theory part, that's always happen. Do we move from study object to processes? In fact, I guess all these, the answer probably are yes to those yes or no questions. We do see some of the spatial temporal objects being discussed and talked about, presented in the past 2 days. Like the events from the social media analysis, or from the geoscience, dust storm and tropical cyclones and others. And we do have some research, in fact, in the earth science domain. There's a lot of 3D objects or 4-dimensional objects which considers X, Y, Z, but also the continuous movement in the time dimension, the evolution of the events. So in there we do have, and also in social science we do. So Robert, do you have some examples to share about how we do the social side capture the spatial temporal movement objects?
Yeah, Alex's talk basically focused on that. But I guess the root of that, is if we agree spatial temporal objects exist, even that we exist, those are sort of motivating, framing questions around that core question. What are good ontologies, space-time ontologies?
Right.
That's sort of our core concern, I would say.
Right.
Where would the variable scale fit here? By variable scale, I mean scale.
The accuracy and the scale of variables.
Not only accuracy, but purposely applying different scales.
Multi-scale analysis.
Right, multi-scale, yeah.
Yeah, it should probably go in.
So
But
in
it
project,
goes under time.
it can apply to both.
Yeah, it's both.
Um, Particularly for time, because you think about history, right? History in 20,000 years ago, you want the scale to be much small, or however you call it, smaller, right? Once it gets to the modern era, you want it to be scale being larger, so you can see the details. There are more details to see as you approach the modern day. And then further into the future, it becomes smaller again. So you're almost you want to have a standardized way to warp time.
That's our logarithmic time bar.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's one way of
That's a
doing
stab
it.
at it. Yeah.
That's just one way of doing it. Space too. Like if you're zooming into, say, one part of the Earth, and further away from your attention, you want less detail. And current GIS software doesn't really give you a good tool for doing that.
So with the scale of the variables, do you mean that what is the range of the variable values, and
Right,
what are
there's a
the
standard way to
right,
calculate that so that users can fine tune their focal point and how to apply this variable scale when they do analysis, when they display,
That's a good question.
Best
Yeah.
practices.
right. And you
Yeah.
need tools too.
Yeah. Best practices and recommended starting point for.
That's good. So it's good that we have Keith book chapter here.
I threw that in there because
That's
that's
good,
kind
yeah.
of a first draft
It's
of
a-
exactly what we're doing right now.
Yeah, it's a perfect match over there. Yeah, that's good. Is a finished set of spatial temporal process, diffusing, aggregation, erosion. So the answer probably for this is in computer it has to be, but nature probably not.
Yeah, I was
what do you
thinking
think?
of
Yeah.
Stephen Wolfram's work, there, and the idea that every mathematical formula can be reduced to a one-dimensional cellular type.
Yeah,
Can all spatial temporal processes be reduced in some similar way?
Yeah, we could reduce the dimensionality of this if we fix on a specific problem or domain.
No, here I'm suggesting that what's being learned in a specific problem, like the dust clouds, might be a much more general way of describing change.
Oh, you're going another dimension to go from specific to more generic ones. Yeah.
There's lots of things diffuse over space over time.
Yeah.
Lots of things
We
actually.
change the coordinate system. If you follow the flow, which we call a Lagrangian frame, then the fusion is the S cloud is constant.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you just because you're moving and then things get spread. So
Yeah.
One of the things that Ben brought up that I thought was really good, and because sometimes we ask these questions, and I'll be the first to admit, I sometimes don't know about all the work, it's hard. So Ben was suggesting that the geographic information science or geography as the body of knowledge, right?
Mm-hmm.
Body of knowledge.
I just brought it up because, there's that body of knowledge and a lot of work went into bricks down the geospatial domain in great detail from the perspective of, from an academic perspective. And it was just basically, are there chunks of that that could be useful to just borrow or adopt? It's really just kind of an open-ended.
The body of knowledge is going through a major revision.
Oh, it is?
I know, I just got my galleys back this morning.
Okay, well, even if it is,
Yeah.
even just whatever it was, whatever it is now or was last year, a lot of thought went into it from the geospatial side. Well, you know it intimately, probably. Does that make sense? Could
Sure.
that be useful?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, that's a good way of showing how we overlap with
Do we want to
geoscience.
sense to think about even formally referencing it in some way?
You could refer to that. Are you suggesting a body of knowledge for us, or we borrow from there?
No, just
instead?
that we have a kind of a mapping of
Okay.
the concepts in the
Like
geoscience talk.
crosswalk,
Okay.
so that we're not reinventing that wheel.
Right.
And
Yeah.
maybe things we come up with might even contribute to it.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Or, you know, do we want, should space-time have its body of knowledge? 'Cause let's think your more direct question was.
Yeah, I guess.
There'll be some overlap, but there are definitely some.
Yeah, there are some unique things over there, and overlapping with GIS science, maybe so more so with Earth science, as we're talking about that, because they have always been dealing with spatial temporal in the Earth science domain.
Should we still think about the spatial temporal object model or for expression, conceptual or storage?
Yeah, we have that.
Spatial temporal object model.
Yeah, do spatial temporal objects exist? And we can add them here.
How to model it?
Yeah. That's good point. Okay, so for the spatial temporal part is okay. For the foreign parts, I don't know if we should put them into the upper 3.1 or we could just keep them. So let's take a look. The first one is relationship to other domains fields. Overlap, complements, shared challenges, opportunities. Can ethical and legal privacy issues in other domains be used to inform spatial temporal research where loss geoprivacy is a concern? That's for sure. Can mathematics, physics, information science inform our treatment of spatial temporal data, moving from discrete representation of continuous phenomena to mathematical representation? So sounds like the first one, the part goes into the application. The second bullet should be a 31. So what do you think about these two, relationship to other domains fields? Should we put them in the theory part, or should we put it in the application part, or? Stays here?
But we was still in the third one.
Yeah, this is in the theory part. So we think we should put here. Okay. Okay. So another part is mathematical description. Okay, let's try to deal with the next big one first. What about machine learning roles in space-time? This should go to the methodology.
Yeah,
Okay, let's move this over there first, and then we'll come back.
except for the last bullet.
How can we treat the time as a continuous dimension and do some transformation in time so we can apply mathematical methods? Yes. Yeah. Yeah, those two could. Oh, I did something wrong again. Okay. So add it here. Okay, so the mathematic description, how can we treat time as a continuous dimension and do some transformation in time so that we can apply mathematical methods? So this part specifically about time, or we can refer that to both space and time, spatial temporal. Yeah. other extension to existing information theory approaches, dimension of space and time. Yeah, those all go here. Yeah, formal mathematical description. So return to theory. For this part, for these listed ones, do we want to put them in spatial or keep it here?
I think we've already covered those. Probably just strike that line.
Strike this down.
Some of that's theory, but it's not really spatial temporal.
This one?
The return to theory line, that can just go.
So what do we think? Should we
It's already covered under spatial.
just take it out, or maybe we move it up to spatial?
Up to spatial.
Okay. Yeah, so we let's keep some thoughts here. Yeah.
Put it there.
So are there any extension to existing information theory approaches? That's a good question. We can go take a look. So anyone know anything about information theory extending to spatial temporal?
Yeah, put that in there.
Okay.
I had a particular piece of work in mind.
Yeah,
I'm
okay.
not sensing schedule.
Okay, that's good.
Should
So
have shown an extension to time.
so we can go back to check that. And dimensionality of space-time. How can we use mathematical models to combine space and time, treat time as a continuous, and do some transformation? So this one, in fact, let's move this one down here, so that we are. Yeah. Let's see. Dimension of space-time and formal mathematical description. So how can we use mathematical models to combine treat time as a continuous and do some transformations so we can apply? Yeah, there's some kind of duplication between these two ideas.
I would make what's a dash into a bullet and put it the second hollow bullet under it. There you go.
That's good. And okay. Yeah, the first bullet is already in here, the idea. The second part is,
Yeah,
right?
you can delete the first one. The second one contains the first one.
So is this a question? Do we think it needs to be a question, or we definitely think so and we should just work on it, treat it like that?
Or you can delete the part after the question mark on the second one, because that's the first bullet item.
Okay,
That's exactly.
that's good, yeah. Okay, now we preserve the ideas over there. So any missing pieces on the theory part?
That's a pretty good start.
Okay, that's a good start. We have a lot of items here. Yes.
I think that would be good to link to the history of GI science. We know we have geopresentation, we have space-time GIS. We mentioned that relationship to other domains.
Mm-hmm.
What about those maybe valuable contribution in GIS or geography that we can do spatial temporal computing? So just some of my suggestions. Already has some spatial temporal data models. I think it would be good to explicitly state that we link back to the geography or GI science. And also in GI science, I know there's space-time GIS, space-time integration. Those interesting themes have been discussed over the years. So, and then what's the difference between spatial temporal computing
Mhm.
and enters CMTR.
Right, yeah. So we need to take a look at that aspect. Okay, do we still have anything else missed? Oh, sorry, I should say that when we was talking, could you hear? If not, we have this. Let's see.
Well, since you're typing it, so.
Oh, I'm typing this,
Yeah,
but
yeah, that's what I figured that.
let's see. Maybe Joseph, could you help passing this along if someone has something to say, so everyone can hear that? I think that would be helpful. So the next topic is about technologies and methodologies. This is a big one, probably in most of the presentations are focused on this part. Visualization, analysis, mining, learning, and modeling. So what are the challenges for interpolation? This is a very specific one, interesting space-time interpolation, linear, scale and limitation area. So what do you think about this one? Is this something interpolation? Do we still have the interpolation researcher here? In fact, this has been a problem that I think Lang, you have been dealing with this problem about the Earth science side, how to do spatial temporal interpolation. And we saw a few presentations, one from Zhejiang, and also when will you have some research on this?
Yeah, I think spatial temporal interpolation per se is just one of the methods in spatial statistics that we can use. So the idea teach spatial statistics, and I realized that for example in R has been spatial temporal interpolation implemented, and also spatial temporal statistics has been a theme in this domain that has caught researchers' attention. So yeah, if I may make it more generic, spatial temporal statistic or spatial temporal analysis modeling, so that may be inclusive. So just
Yeah, spatial temporal statistics and analysis, is that what you?
yeah, my understanding about this spatial temporal modeling, we have the statistics, we have statistic model, we have optimization, we have the simulation models. So that's what I mean by inclusive. So come up a word that may be able to include those spatial temporal approaches that we can use. I mean those quantitative methods.
Right. So next one comes up with how to develop a model, a spatial temporal model that can formulate space and time. Yeah.
Phil, I just want to say something about that first, that bullet before we leave it. Just, I think, a cautionary statement. Is anytime we're talking about things moving, changing in space and time as a process, we need, I'm not sure it's a bullet or not, but we need to be cognizant that there are process models from these other domains that are well understood from there. And I'm always concerned when I see just this question. We don't reach too quickly for an agnostic spatial temporal statistical model to fill in the gaps when we know models exist from physics and from other things. So that's, I'm not sure if it's a bullet, but.
That's what I meant in the theory, like process model.
Yeah, I don't know if it should be.
Something like diffusion is really well understood.
Yeah.
Sorry, where do we have that?
Or-
Oh, back in the theories. Yeah, there's both theory driving those models, and probably it's also methodology about modeling, predicting, analyzing.
Yeah.
Yeah, in fact, that's most scientific domains they do. Like scientists, they may just focus their lifetime on one model.
I'd like to make a suggestion under technologies and methodologies. I suggest you add in there simulation.
Yeah, this is the part we're talking about.
That's
No, no, I'm talking about it in the title there, technologies and methodologies. And I would also put big data in there, because there's a lot happening in that realm that would be relevant.
We have something added as a big data or data somewhere here.
Okay, we'll go back up there a second, if you could.
Okay.
I would also change that to data mining. It's a more conventional term, data mining. And also, I'm not sure, but analytics is a contemporary term that might be better to put in there.
Yeah,
Analytics.
analysis is really what we mean by that. Yeah. Like, oh.
These methods give me an impression that they are similar to the four categories of geocomputation. So, first one, computer architecture. Second one, I remember is data mining, learning, just machine learning. And then we have visualization. So I forgot the fourth one. I mean, the first one is a computer architecture, could be high performance computing. So again, what's the difference with, in terms of the spatial temporal computing, the methods and technology in spatial temporal computing, compared to this geocomputation. So I mean, this spatial temporal computing is built on, or it just completely different theme or field. So that's, I think, just.
No, I think it's just hashing the same methods in a different way.
What other terms we talked about? Geocomputation and so yeah, we're looking at this from different aspects, but after we have this complete document, we probably would be better in a better position to address the difference from other domains.
The technology first or methodology first? For this section, from the spatial temporal computing perspective.
We can move this to.
Yeah, this session is more about the methodology. I think technology is kind of implement those method or hardware. Yeah, so maybe technology may combine with
The
I don't know.
infrastructure.
Yeah, something like that. I think this session is all about the methodology. One thing I like to add is time series analysis. Yeah, I don't think we can. Yeah, it's very hard to have a continuous data. It's always depend on the resolution. We hope we have a very short intervals, but it's always limited. Yeah.
So another idea is that that triggered me to think about the map storytelling. Is that something as an analysis or application, or what do you think? Map storytelling.
Map story, the platform.
Yeah.
Space-time communication.
Yes, space-time communication.
Is that technology, or is that
Technology or.
So when we're saying technology here, do we mean algorithms? Or do we mean reference implementations in, reference software implementations, say?
I think we could use technology to include the methodology part. Is that fair?
I would say technology is the implementation of the methodology.
Okay.
Yeah, sometimes we call the method are kind of techniques.
Oh, methodologies and techniques. Okay, let's do that. I think that it's fair to do that. Techniques, and then we put technologies down there with the infrastructure. Okay. So
Just remind me, that these are categories that we're coming up with to try to cover everything important
Yeah.
that, categories that would get filled in at some other time.
Yeah, we will put in
Research,
more comments.
research,
yeah,
and,
right,
so these are all potential, yeah, okay.
Yeah, right. Okay, so let's move on to the. We were here. So space-time communication storytelling, that could be techniques or methodologies. How to make a model that use different ways to formulate space and time. The modeling, is this about modeling, how to develop a model that uses different ways? Should this be on the theory side or on the methodology side?
It wouldn't be a model, right? So,
Well, we've got a model of light that works in different parts of remote sensing, photons versus waves.
Right. Yeah, so this could have two meanings. One is that, do we want to model space and time? So that's a more fundamental question, versus that we develop a model which talks about some kind of phenomena evolve in space and time.
I'd just strike that line. Doesn't matter.
Move it up, or
No, just kill it. Kill it.
it's very generic.
Bring in the animal poacher at the top.
Let me put several question marks here, and we'll consider that later. I don't want to lose the thought here. The thought is good. So this is like, if we go to the fundamental side, it becomes something like the mathematical formulation of space and time dimensions. If we go to the application side, it's like earth science modeling or social media, social events modeling. Okay, so next one is how to consider spatial temporal autocorrelation and heterogeneity in machine learning, deep learning models. Do spatial lag factors and local methods work for machine learning? Yep. These are good questions. So facilitating compilation and connection of models with each other, model interoperability. Is that something important technique, or? Right, yeah. Interoperability and integration here. Okay, scale and discretization interpolation. Is this something we just talked about? Oh, okay. Could we put here? Yeah, let's put here.
time series is discrete time, right? That's
Mm-hmm.
that's the
Yep.
same concept.
Yeah, we can have it at both places. Yeah. Okay, broadly accessible simulation and visualization, or 2D to 5D or virtual reality. Yeah, there's an important techniques for visual analytics. So what does this element really mean? Broadly accessible simulation and visualization results or tools.
Broadly accessible means dissemination of those.
Like availability on GitHub and things like that.
Or it's
Communication, sharing.
sharing.
Sharing will be more.
Yeah, kind of like the climate forecasts.
Oh, okay.
Place
It's open source type of thing. Open, make it open. How do we improve visualization for communication? Yeah, this is a big thing. In fact, this is related to what Lee has been continuously emphasizing, how to transform the scientific research into policy making. This could be part of that. Maybe we can put that as a bullet right after this to how to transform.
I think that involves. That's related to outreach as well, right?
Right, yeah.
You need methodology, you need technology, and then you need the
Right.
effort.
Yeah, this could also be in outreach. Okay, so machine learning in spatial temporal context. Do we already have that here? Yeah, spatial temporal correlation. Maybe we can move this up.
In terms of machine learning, I would, personally, I like artificial intelligence more because machine learning is part of
Mhm.
artificial intelligence. Yeah. So you have this AI, most using AI, including machine learning.
Yeah. Did we mention AI here? Yeah, machine learning and let's see. How about we put here?
Just machine learning falls within AI. AI is a broader concept.
Yeah.
Computational intelligence or machine intelligence.
Yeah. Okay. So that's good. Where we are for communication? Oh, here. So what should the role of simulation be in the space-time community? What are the space-time dynamics with simulation? What data is required to support these simulations?
So we need to take process with
Yeah.
maybe
Putting application.
it's a footage of process-based models.
Okay.
The second one is a process, spatial temporal process model, process-driven or process-oriented model. Second one in this category section.
Oh, okay. The third one.
Third
right?
one, yeah.
Okay.
So may combine them together. So
Okay, that's good. So next one is okay. Machine learning is slow in space-time. Some don't have the equipment.
Learning to AI here, make it more broad.
Yeah, we have this app.
yeah, that's second. I mean, group twos. So we just decide to post it here.
Yeah, this is more in more details here. So we're gonna copy from here and put it up. Machine learning. Okay, simulation and forecasting. This also goes to the third bullet. Right. Okay. Is that good? Okay. So now let's move to technologies and infrastructure.
When we only have 10 minutes left.
Oh,
until the
okay. So we need to, let's see, how much do we still have? Okay, I think we can do that. So technologies and infrastructure, big data was coming up here. We're talking about, do we want the big in there, which includes the sources, collection, standards, fusion, mining, maybe learning here too, and data fusion was detailed here. And then we also talked about the hardware side and software tools. Let's move this up, so these two. So the next one, can we have an infrastructure to support help the spatial research? As it could be algorithm, models, data interoperability standards. This is needs to facilitate the compilation of and connection of models to each other. Yeah, this is a good point, but probably quite challenging to have such an infrastructure. We made some progress in the last 20 or 15 years, but we're not there yet. We have some successful examples in that dimension. So that could be there as a kind of a drive for and spatial temporal computing infrastructure. And then as spatial temporal data increase in volume, it is much likely to result in violation of geoprivacy. Can infrastructure be created to support? We need. Yeah, so this is the privacy and this part, the legal issues, ethics. Yeah, it is a requirement for the infrastructure, but this could be dealt more in the application domains or maybe at the methodology from the social science back to the infrastructure. So I'll just make a note here instead of change too much.
Have whatever you want.
Yeah, we could have, yeah, that's a good point, and this is a good debate topic, yeah. So limitation of computing, processing, and storage, because here framework that can combine different models, maybe integrate. Broadening access possibility and simulation, it's okay, we just copied it here. Can we have an infrastructure that support help the spatial temporal research analysis? It could be algorithm, models, data. This is yeah, it's with this one. Okay, let's move it up. No. Okay, we have some change here. How do we integrate this program?
We can just drop this one since it's redundant with the fourth item.
Okay, let's move it out, see.
Yeah, oh, yeah, we can combine into the.
Could you go back just a minute to the ethics bullet there?
Just a second, let's see. Okay, yes.
There's one slight phrasing there. You're indicating that privacy ethics area is a method from social science. I don't think it's a method from, it's not a method from social science. It's really more philosophical. Or just drop what's in parentheses.
Okay.
It's not, ethics is not coming from social science.
Okay. So what I was trying to say, this could, okay, let's drop this point, but this could be all the, also in the application domain. How does that sound? Okay. So let's move ahead. What do we need in terms of infrastructure that we don't have now that could streamline our work? That's a good question. Can we have accessible platform that's 90%, or what do we do? Yeah, there's some efforts towards that. And then where can we find historical sensor data sets? It's a long tail data problem. Stories and examples of good space-time research and application areas for process of identify. This goes to the end. How will the emerging capacity of quantum computing? That's an interesting one. So how to find the historical data sets? This goes to the here. And then stories. Okay, we're gonna move this down, and we're good with that one. Storytelling is the end that we want to tackle here. So you put it here. Yeah. Okay, so we're good with the technologies and infrastructure part. Let's move to the applications part. In fact, this is the part also related to the last part, the science and engineering and other domains. Ways to incorporate human behavior and movement. Yeah, that could be an application analysis of trajectory bundles from IoT digital exhaustive data, use of cell phone for space-temporal research, proper use of social media. Yeah, analysis of trajectory. Is this a duplication? Human movement, migration, employment. Yeah, we talked about this also down there. Anonymization, privacy. Yeah, this is from
Maybe that would move up the ethics area.
yeah, we have it at both, probably sits in both parts, yes. Human behavior is difficult to model. Yeah, this could.
What about land use and land cover change? For example, the urbanization, urban growth.
Yeah. Prediction using big data. Okay.
The movement could be human movement or animal movement, pedestrian or animal. Also, the the diffusion of infectious disease, fire spread or landslides. I think they could be a good spatial temporal examples. The dispersal of this plant species. I think this.
Yeah.
That we can borrow from the ecological studies.
You might put in urban sprawl there also.
Yeah, urban. that's good. So prediction use big geospatial data. It's yeah, that's something.
Should we say big spatial temporal data
Yeah, we can change it.
to highlight it?
Okay, what can we do to correct the bias in social media? Yeah, this is a good question. What are the ways to connect social media dynamics with well-established social sciences? Okay, so this whole part is on social media, social dynamics. That's good. So we can just have it here. And the data side, should Twitter be a public utility? What is so what?
Yeah, this part is our group two think maybe good to put data as a separate section, but
Yeah.
I think in the section above it does mention discuss some parts about
Yeah.
data, data quality.
We can move out. In fact, we can move other parts of data into this section. Yeah, that's good. Okay.
I'm
I'll make
sorry
a
to
little-
interrupt, just a real quick question. If you need to take the shuttle to go back to the hotel, raise your hand here. Okay,
I need to go back.
good, a few people, good. Because I need to go out and tell the driver to wait for us, so take.
Oh, it's 12 o'clock?
It's 12 now.
Okay, yeah, let's see how long do we... probably 10 more minutes, we're done.
Yeah, that should be fine. I'll just tell them to wait.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so the last one we have here is workforce training. This includes education, scholarship, outreach, and collaborations. Especially in the education part, we have the relationship with other domains and curriculum development, change, short courses, summer schools. So we talked about the K to 12 education here. Where is our body of knowledge for research and what subset might be useful to check out? Oh yeah, so this part is also in the methodology part. Yeah, that's good. Okay, are we missing anything here in terms of workforce training?
What about employment?
Yeah, employment is... It's really job market.
The job markets, for example, for spatial temporal, big spatial temporal data models. So what, something like that.
Yeah, that's a good question. That means does it have a sustainable future? Okay, I think we're good here. A research agenda, which will be derived from what we talked about as a future. So we're not going to talk about that now. Let's see. Since we just asked them to wait for 10 minutes, I think probably we can spend about 5 minutes on this topic. So some kind of applications that we could discuss a few minutes. From yesterday's keynote, maybe on the urbanization and security, would that be something that of interest to talk more? The smart cities, the secondary cities, and how they grow, and how the population migration, and how that impact the security in terms of social side and other aspects. So what do you think we need to discuss under here? smart cities, and secondary cities. So security could be, Civil said, how do we differentiate different types of security here? It's resource. What's that?
Ecological security.
Oh, ecological security. Yep. So we talked about these different dimensions. Do we have some kind of well-known methodology or tools, infrastructure to support this urbanization? And smart cities is kind of a movement. A lot of cities are doing that in China and other countries. So that could be an infrastructure supports this urbanization and security. Any tools that you think is doing good? So these are the, let's see. So what are the tools or data that you think, or infrastructure that is ready for us to support? Yeah, that's something we talked about. API.
Yeah, Amazon APIs and things like that. Servers for pulling your sensor data out and turning it into usable data, usable information.
Yeah, so from usable to actionable information, if we could have those, yeah. What other assets, low-hanging fruit, we could probably identify?
Put in there, open data.
Open data policy or open data mechanism.
And public participation.
Right. So the social media analysis could be definitely one of the things.
They've got open source sensor building tools out there like Raspberry Pis that people can utilize in order to do these on smaller scales at universities, things like that.
Yeah, we can use open source to do some kind of research or early prototype.
Not just data, but hardware.
Yeah.
There's actually open source hardware out there that's free to use as long as you don't have to go off and try to make a profit with it. But you can still use it to build a prototype and then go off on somebody else to build your circuit board.
Do we call it open hardware or open source hardware?
Yeah.
Like Martin Sensor Network.
So methodology, do we have any for supporting this process? Mobile computing is definitely wearable computing, could be. Yeah. So did we see any kind of striking methodology from, let's say, social media side or security analysis from these 2 days or from other venues for solving this problem?
So that is one of the challenges that we need to work on.
Yeah. But if we already have some, we can build upon that, and then we need to develop new ones.
The human geo folks, they're taught on using GeoMesa and space-time hashing to basically take a whole lot of ship data and
Mm-hmm.
hash it at a high resolution and then easily back off that resolution, like hash it at a finer grain both in time and space than needed, and then be able to back off it to the right level of granularity.
Mm-hmm.
And the use case was looking for unusual patterns in ship activity.
Right.
I don't know if that follows, if that makes sense in response to your question about methodology.
Yeah, definitely. That should be in. We have sentiment analysis and hotspots analysis from social media, social data analysis. That could be. Yeah.
What about recommendation systems?
Right. Smart recommendation.
Recommendation systems.
Okay, that's good. We have only 1 minute to go. So yeah, the shadow is waiting up there, and Wendy help us. Hold on. If you need to go back to the hotel, please take off now. Well, thank you everyone. It's a great experience working with you all, and we will keep this online. So if you have time, you can come back to editing it and putting in new ideas to this. We hope this could be a community paper and community effort instead of just a few of us working on this. Well, thank you all for coming to the symposium. If you still have some time here, enjoy the campus, Harvard campus. It's beautiful, and Boston, and safe travel home. Thank you.